Hey guys, welcome to the Gun Coyote channel. We are live. You're going to be able to ask me anything on here. That's anything that's legal and within. Yeah, few connection problems going on. Probably my internet service provider, but hopefully that will be the end of it there. But we learned a few things last time about going live. That's even though it says you can't handle firearms or whatever in a live, don't even have them sitting behind you, because if you have them sitting behind you, then that's no bueno. And YouTube is not going to like that a whole lot. They're going to give you a big old PP slap for that. So we got a 24-hour shutdown on our live there, but that's okay. Learned some things, and now we know. We know the answers now. So we'll try to pick up where we left off in our live last time when it was so rudely interrupted. So let's see, let's break over here. And that was covering the ATFs issue of the final rule on what it means to be engaged in the business of selling firearms. And what ATF's word and Justice Department's word is on this is, under this regulation, it will not matter if guns are sold on the internet, at a gun show, or a brick and mortar store. If you sell guns predominantly to earn a profit, you must be licensed and you must conduct background checks. Thought that was most people anyway. So, this regulation is a historic step in Justice Department's fight against gun violence. It will save lives, sure it will. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act enhanced background checks and closed loopholes, including by redefining when a person is engaged in business of dealing in firearms. Today's rule clarifying application of that definition will save lives by requiring all those in business selling guns to get official firearms license and run background checks, thus keeping guns out of the hands of violent criminals. That's worked out really well. Last time I checked, ATF's probably the biggest gun runner of anyone. They're definitely known for that. Fast and Furious, anybody? Let's see. And it goes on yabbering more about the bipartisan safer communities. Don't really see. Let's see. Here we go. The Attorney General signed ATF's final rule definition to engage in the business as a dealer in firearms and amend ATF's regulations. Let's see. What have they actually changed in here? If you know, feel free to put it in the chat. I'd love to know, because they like to hide everything behind a bunch of legal jargon here. Make sure I can see the chat. There we go. Because I'm not seeing anything so far that really changes anything, or what it means here. Engage in business as a dealer other than a gunsmith or pawnbroker. Principal objective, livelihood, and profit. Okay. So basically, don't be selling guns at yard sales. Don't be selling guns at flea markets. I thought we already knew that. And that's probably a bad idea to try and do some stuff like that, because they're going to bust you. Okay, well, I don't know. This doesn't really seem, reading this, I don't really see it doing anything different. It doesn't, whatever, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But what is interesting is in the news today, it's been coming out. Let me get over to that article. Is, and I want to know what you think about this, because this is shady and right up the alley of somebody had to know that something was going wrong. So, as you know, you probably heard this. Is it Brian Malinowski, the guy that ATF raided his home, and they ended up exchanging fire with the Malinowski guy, and one of the ATF agents, I guess it was an ATF agent, killed him while they were doing a raid on his home for supposedly illegally selling firearms. Well, guess what had come out? None of the ATF agents were wearing body cameras, which is SOP whenever ATF does anything. So why was not a single agent at ATF wearing a body camera? If local law enforcement was involved with the ATF on this raid, why were they not wearing a body camera? So basically, we have no proof of anything that happened from the time that ATF rolled up on this dude and bashed their way into his house to when he was shot and killed. So that's really interesting. And the quote here says, "The Department of Justice confirmed to us last night that the ATF agents involved in the execution of a search warrant of the home of Brian Malinowski weren't wearing body cameras. We will continue to press the department to explain how this violation of its own policy could have happened and to disclose the full circumstances of the tragedy, and Mr. Malinowski's family and the public have a right to a full accounting of the facts." Yeah, we do, actually, considering the ATF's blatant disregard for life in the past. Waco, Ruby Ridge, several other incidents. They don't really seem to care a whole lot. Let's see. And there was something interesting in here. It said, a yet unidentified ATF agent shot Malinowski in the head with a carbine at least once. So, at least once he was shot in the head. He lingered for 2 days before dying of his wounds. Let's see, a story published last week chronicled a host of less lethal tactics ATF could use, but yeah, why would they want to do that, though? And there's one part in here, if I can find it, is talking about his family said that ATF shot first. So that's really interesting, and I really wouldn't be surprised. Oh, yeah, here it is. ATF has yet to comment officially about Malinowski's killing other than to claim he fired first, but Malinowski's family recently said in a statement that the 53-year-old airport executive likely did not know he was trading gunfire with federal agents. It is far more likely he believed he was defending himself and his wife from armed home invaders. And I would say that, yeah, absolutely, I would think that if I was asleep in my bed, and next thing I know, my door's blown open. I can't see you. I can't see what uniforms you're wearing. You could be anybody. It doesn't matter if you're shouting police. A gang of thugs could bash in my door and start yelling, "We're the cops." And am I supposed to not shoot because you blew in my door? Well, the problem is you're probably going to get shot at. And one of us is going down. Probably me, because there's going to be a lot more of you. But I'm going to try and take a couple of you with me. So no-knock raids like this are just a bad idea. We've seen time and time again, from even just standard police and ATF and everybody else, no-knock raids mean that people end up getting killed. And it's just bad business, especially for some dude like this who is dealing a few guns. Oh, cat fight. Speaking of fights. But anyway, guys, the cats might be having a bigger fight than me, man. Or a bigger fight than what ATF has. They sound like they were going hard. But anyway, guys, if you have any questions for me when it comes to firearms, I'll answer anything that's legal for me to answer, and I'll also answer anything that is within the YouTube terms of service. And I'm just getting a message now that says that the chat's not loading. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, let me get this turned down so I don't have to listen to myself. How's that constitutional to not have body cams? Well, don't know about constitutionality of body cams, but I do know that it is bad practice not to have them. Even when my wife was a law enforcement officer, she had to have her body cam on all the time, and it was a big no-no to get caught without it, or to not turn it on when you were, whenever you were doing something with a somebody that you're potentially arresting, or anything like that. So the fact that the entirety of the ATF that were involved in this raid on the Malinowski dude's home, that none of them were wearing body cams, that's a little sus. Absolutely sus. They're probably trying to get away with something shady right there. But no, what do you guys think about that? ATF up something sideways? More than likely. So, hopefully the chat's working for you guys. YouTube's been doing a couple weird things here lately. But anyway, guys, that is what we got on that. We'll try and do a bigger story and cover this more in detail, and we'll absolutely keep you updated as we learn more about ATF really kind of screwing the pooch here on this Malinowski guy's raid. If I turn the camera out there, we might get to see a real live fight, because it sounds like the cats are going at it again. They're pretty good at that night. let's see. Oh yeah, it says here, if the cameras capture law enforcement actions resulting in serious bodily injury or death, the memo requires that the federal sponsoring agency and the U.S. Attorney should release the recordings as early as possible. Well, conveniently, they don't have any recordings to release because their body cams are not working. Yeah, okay. So thanks for letting me know, Hunter, that the chat's working. It's kind of funny because on what I'm actually streaming it on, I can't see it. Shenanigans. The internet's been doing some funny stuff here tonight anyway. But I'm going to throw this out to the crowd. You guys have any questions for me? Be happy to answer anything that you have. We do have some cool videos coming up, so we're going to continue our series learning about the different types of 5.56 ammunition. So we still have to cover M855 62 grain light armor penetrator, as well as the 77 grain. What do I think of compact handguns? Well, I mean, they're great. There's a pretty wide selection of there. I mean, I like the, I guess you call them the micro compacts a lot for everyday carry, subcompacts for everyday carry. I'm a shorter guy, so really the subcompacts are ideal for me because I got these little Burger King hands. So got to have the small guns. Personally, on a daily basis, I'm a little bit of 1911 fanboy. I carry a Wilson Combat. I like it quite a bit. And actually, it's the Wilson Combat EDC 9, so it's a double stack 9mm. Comes with a 10-round magazine and a 15-round magazine. Pretty sweet pistol. Probably the softest shooting subcompact 9mm that I've shot in a long time. Really enjoy that pistol. Highly recommend it, but terribly expensive. Something like, I think, gosh, what is that thing? It's somewhere around $3,000 for one of those. It's not up internet connection, and we are back in action. So, don't know why the normal ISP is taking a crap, but here we are. And then, what do you know, the chat loaded too. Yep, sorry about that little intermittence there. And glad I can see all the questions and everything here. Yep, you guys will be right back up. All right, anybody else got any questions going on? Anything I can answer at all? So, oh yeah, I was going on about the videos we have coming out. So we got several shorts coming out on the M855. We got that one coming up in 77 grain, of course. Oh no! Nothing ever goes right when you're going live. So, let me fix that. That'll teach me to use a crappy stand, won't it? Maybe I'll get through what we're going to be doing. Is PSA any good? I mean, yeah, I mean, PSA is perfectly fine for what they cost. Are they the best in the world? No. Their Saber series looks pretty sweet. I don't particularly have any experience with the Sabers, so maybe if some of you guys have experience with the Sabers, you can let us know about that. Their AKs seem to be built pretty well, but I mean, is a PSA something I would go to battle with? Probably not. But I mean, they're a good gun. If that's what I had, if that's what I could afford, absolutely, I'd go to battle with it. But if you can afford something better, like a Geisley URGI or something like that, yeah, go with that. Oh yeah. The PSA AKs have come a long way. So years ago, I had a GF3. It was a pretty decent AK, but they still had some production problems going on then. So I ended up sending it down the road and getting one built from an imported parts kit. So I've got a that ended up being a much better rifle anyway. But these new PSA AKs, the latest generation of guns, the AK 100 series and their AK 74, AK-74 had some teething pains when it first came out. Had some issues with the, I believe it was the size of the hole that was drilled in the bolt for the firing pin, and it was actually letting the firing pin would strike the primer, and the primer would kind of get stuck on the firing pin and clog up the firing pin hole. But that has since been corrected, and a lot of the other issues. PSA has paid a lot of attention to the AK market. I'm really happy about that, because if it wasn't for PSA right now, the AK market would be in pretty dire shape, because you just have Zastava and Arsenal, and those, well, the Zastava guns are great. But the Arsenal AKs are really difficult to come by. They're always very expensive. Are they worth what they cost? That's debatable. The coating, the finish, it's on those guns kind of sucks. That's really my only complaint with the when it comes to the Arsenal AKs. But the PSA AKs have really come a long way. So I really need to get one of the new AKs. I like to have one of their 100 series guns to try out. And maybe even one of their 74s. Try against the 74 that I have access here to compare the two against an imported parts kit build 74 and PSA's 74. And I've got access to a whole bunch of 5.45, so we can really put it through its paces and see what it'll do. And if you don't know, I'm a little bit of an AK buff. I like AKs a little bit more than I do ARs, mostly because I got bored with ARs. So I started learning more about AKs, and they're really neat. All the different countries that built them, all the different armories. You know, you had those little subtle differences between the different armories in one nation that built those guns versus another nation in their armories. So it's really an interesting platform, and the amount that you could write on each factory and where each gun came from is really amazing. So really cool guns. If you're not into AKs, you're missing out. Get into them. They're cool. They're a lot of fun to shoot. They used to be really cheap to shoot. Not so much anymore. Maybe when PSA really starts pumping out their steel case ammunition, the price of that stuff will come down quite a bit. I hope so. From what I understand, PSA actually bought an old Soviet. Why has ammo gone up? Because of Biden? Well, I mean, that's that's what Democrats do. It's not just ammo; it's gone up. I mean, everywhere you go, the price of stuff's gone up. So, getting back to PSA's ammo, I'm pretty sure what they did is they bought some old Soviet manufacturing equipment from somewhere in Eastern Europe to produce the 7.62x39 and the 5.45 steel case ammunition. I'm looking forward to that and getting to try it out. Hopefully they won't have any production problems, and I'm sure that they've spent a lot of money to be able to produce that. And I'm really hoping that it'll be a good alternative to the imported Russian stuff that we can no longer get. Maybe it'll shoot a little bit cleaner too, because the imported Russian stuff did really well, but it was a little dirty, as to be expected. Some of the powder and stuff was not always up to snuff. But I do digress. Any other questions, guys? Be happy to answer anything. Just send it in the chat. I'm looking. AK is the best there, Paul. Yes, I agree with you. I love AKs, man. Although here lately, I used to, in my kit every day, I had an AK-74 kitted out. I've switched to 308 for a couple of different reasons. I wanted something that hit really hard and gave me a little bit more range than what the 5.45 does. Just to kind of match boots somewhat as best I can with the 6.8x51. And I've noticed that there's quite a few guys that are going back to the 308. Is there always going to be civilian firearms? Is there going to be a plan to remove access? Well, yeah, there's been a plan for a long time, buddy, to remove access. Will there always be civilian firearms? I don't know. That's up to the American populace right there. Do you want to fight for your freedoms and to maintain your freedom when it comes to the right to keep and bear arms, or do you want to let it go? That's really the ultimate thing right there. I'm just one small piece of the machine there. But as far as the United States goes, I would say that things would get really sideways if there was a rather serious movement, and it looked more likely the Second Amendment was going to be repealed, or that there would be some type of heavy-handed restriction like you would see in some European nations on firearms. I think that things would really not look too good. Because at that point, do you trust the government with the guns and you not to have them? Ask yourself that. Do you trust the government at all? I don't. I mean, I trust them about as much as I do some major corporation like Microsoft or some other organizations. You know who we're talking about. Yeah, that's absolutely right. But do people really get it? No. Well, yeah, some people do. Uh, I think the people in the gun community absolutely get it. The people that are kind of in the middle, I'm not sure that they do get it. They seem to have this impression that their government's always going to be benevolent, but that's really not the case. And yes, only you can protect yourself. The police have no reason really to protect you, and they're probably not going to show up in time anyway. The average police response here, anyway, is like 15 to 25 minutes. So by the time that 15 to 25 minutes passes, when a police officer gets here, whatever's happening is already done. You are responsible for your own safety. You are your own first responder. So make sure that you go out, you get trained, you know how to use your firearm, and you know how to use medical kits. A lot of people skip on that. Go buy a tourniquet, learn how to use it. IFAKs are cheap, your life's expensive. You know what I mean? Make sure you get the training. You have to be trained. I would rather have Grandpa out here with his Bolty Boy 30-06 that's been using it for 40 years than some dude out here with an AR-15 that he's owned for 3 days and he's put one magazine and he thinks that 150 rounds is enough to fight a war with. So just make sure you get trained, make sure that you're prepared, make sure you know what you're doing. Because in the end, only you can protect yourself and your family. And if someone gets hurt, you're going to be the first person on the scene, or one of your family members is going to be the first person to help you if you're the one that gets hurt. So make sure that your family is trained on how to help you too. It's important. All this stuff's important. I'm lucky. My wife is a nurse. She was a police officer. I've taught her how to use handguns. She's quite the natural with a rifle. She's my backup, and she's good. She's good, and she's medically trained. She has her own full medical bag that I have her, as well as my infantry first aid kit. And we keep all that stuff stocked, check it, make sure the expiration dates are good on it. You never know when you might need this stuff. Especially the way politics is in America now. Everybody gets really heated over everything, and I don't think anybody here really realizes. They don't really realize what war means. They've not been there. They've not seen it. They think it's like Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that, and it's not. I can tell you firsthand experience. It's not. It's not like that at all. It's terrifying, and it's horrible, and people get hurt and people die, and that's not something you should ever want to do or to get used to. Take it from me. I know. Yeah. So, you got movies that come out that glorify Civil War stuff, like the Civil War movie. Not seen it yet. Want to go see it. But the reality is, we shouldn't be asking for anything like that here, because nothing will end good for anyone at all. So let's try not to do that, guys. Pray for peace, prepare for war. That's the best thing you can do. That's all there is to it. Yeah, there's a lot of glamorizing of particularly the Civil War thing, especially when that movie got all the hype. Listen, man, I don't want to survive outside of 24/7 conveniences. I've come to appreciate those quite a bit. You know, I like to be able to go to Walmart at like 2 o'clock in the morning and get whatever I want. I don't want to be out there at 4:30 in the morning trying to get a deer before someone sees me out there, you know, and then try to sneak it back to my family and all that. I really like being able to go and get my meat and my dinner nicely packaged, just exchange a few coins for it, come back home and cook it in peace and security. So yeah, I like that. Let's go for the whole peace thing. But you know, if they push the issue, I guess we got to do what we got to do. Um, yeah, that's you know, you lose access to medicines. A lot of people are going to be hurt from something like that. So let's hope that never happens. I hope it never happens. I don't want it to happen in my lifetime. I don't want it to happen in my kids' lifetime. But the reality is, it could, and we should prepare for that inevitability if it does happen. Um, Politics are quite strained in this country now. Nobody wants to just get along and live and let live. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, let's get on to another topic there, guys. You got any gun questions for me? All right, guns. Let's talk about those. Yep. The watch is telling me to charge it before I go to bed. Conveniently, I was going to do that, but I'm glad it reminded me. So, we do have a. If you haven't seen our shorts on the development of the M16 in Vietnam, we are going to be covering the M16 in great detail. We have been doing a lot of shooting and a lot of working on a long form video for that. I'm really excited to bring that to you guys. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be great, I think. Probably looking about 20 minutes or so on that video. A lot of things that we just got to barely touch on or to not really cover in any type of detail in the short series, we're going to be covering very much in detail in the long series. So even some things we missed on that. Really looking forward to bringing you guys that video. And we're going to be doing more stuff like that. And then we're going to get out here and we're going to do some gun reviews and stuff too. Really excited for that. Yes, the forward assist. The forward assist is that's the big topic of debate right there. Is the forward assist worth having or is it not? To be perfectly honest, I never thought that something would be as divisive as the forward assist on the AR-15 and the M16. I've never seen such a small thing that has polarized the camps of the AR-15 guys so hard. You have these guys that are just vehemently must have the forward assist, have to have it. And here's the thing about that too is I've seen a lot of the comments on there said that it saved Kyle Rittenhouse. I didn't watch a lot of Kyle's post court interviews. I seem to remember, though, I may be wrong, but I do seem to remember that during the trial, he said that he fumbled with the forward assist, but it didn't do anything. And then apparently, I guess afterward, he said that the forward assist worked and pushed the round into battery. I'm not entirely sure. He just spoke to Tucker as all that happens. The ejection port was open. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know what the forward assist has to do. It doesn't really affect the ejection port. So he tries to push it forward into battery. I guess it was maybe out of battery just a little bit, maybe. But anyway, he still smoked that dude's bicep. And that's what really matters, I guess, right there, is he saved his life. One way or the other, I'm not entirely sure how that transpired, but, you know, is there going to be some case? And he claims he did not rack the rifle. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. If it came just a little bit out of battery and he tapped that forward assist and it got it back in there enough, sure, I can see that. There's always going to be that very small percentage that the forward assist actually does anything, but I'll be honest, I've never used it for anything outside of a brass check. I would pull my charging handle back, make sure there was a round in the chamber, and make sure that it was fully seated in the battery by giving the forward assist a couple little love taps, and that was the only time I ever had to use it. and my rifle was quite dirty with sand, lots of sand, so I never really had to bother with it. Uh, so, I mean, it doesn't really hurt anything that it's there. The only thing that I could see it doing is if you're taking up a position where you're using support and you're, say, a window, and you're on the right side of the window, you could potentially put the forward assist against the frame and cause a failure that way. But the odds of that are pretty low. It doesn't really hurt anything by it being there, but at the same time, it probably wouldn't hurt it by not being there either. But that's why we have all the options. You got rifles out there that are slick side. You got rifles out there that are upper selections and so on that have. AK doesn't have one. Yes, you're right. The AK doesn't have one because it's built into the bolt. It technically does have one because the charging handle on the bolt itself also functions as a forward assist. And you can also, set if you got one stuck in the chamber, you can set the rifle on the buttstock and you can kick that bad boy and kind of kick it open that way. You do what you got to do with AK because AKs do AK things. But when it comes to the AR-15, the M16, nothing wrong with having a forward assist. Yeah, quite literally kick it. You can hold it out away from your face. That way, if it happens to go off, it doesn't blow your face off. And you can take your foot and your heel, and you kick down on the charging handle on the bolt if it's stuck, and usually it'll come open. Don't do that unless you absolutely have to. Does that ever happen? Yeah, it sure does. I've done it. I've had to do it before. Sometimes those steel cases aren't manufactured exactly right. Some drunk Russian was out there on a Monday not having a good day, and he didn't make the ammo exactly right. So sometimes it gets stuck. Well, it's an AK, man. Things are sketchy when it comes to AKs sometimes. That's just the nature of the beast. That's why we gotta love AKs, right? It's the only thing the communists ever got right. But if you know a lot of prior service members, especially if your guys are going to tell you that if you have a failure in the M16 or an AR-15 platform, the first thing you're going to do is call tap, rack, bang. So you're going to tap the bottom of the magazine, you're going to rack the charging handle, and you're going to try to fire. That's the immediate failure drill. And if that doesn't work, then you're going to have to go into something a little more detailed. That's when you're going to remove the magazine, you're going to pull the charging handle back, lock it to the rear, and investigate what the issue is. And yeah, it sounds simple, but doing it in the middle of a firefight really sucks. But it does happen. It definitely does happen. You got to figure out what the issue is and what's causing that issue. I want to do something with my life show, learn how to competition shoot. If you want to, if that's your passion, if you like it, go do competition shoot. There's a bunch of different types of competition shooting that you can do. Shoot, what is that one? Something. What is it? There's a speed shooting, and there's a ton of options. You can go out there and look them all up. Personally, I'm not I like handguns, but they don't have the appeal to me that rifles do. So I like to do long range precision. That's kind of my jam here lately. So I like to shoot 300 Win Mag. The big bore stuff, like 338 Lapua, 50 BMG. I'd really like to shoot the Norma Magnum, the new one, the 338 Norma Magnum that the military's using. That looks like a sweet, yeah, 338 Lapua. 338 Lapua is a cool round. I like it. Really expensive to shoot. It's very expensive to shoot. Actually, you can shoot 50 BMG cheaper than you can shoot 338 Lapua most of the time. And it looks like 338 Lapua is cheaper to shoot than the 338 Norma Magnum is most of the time, not to mention the price of the rifle. The last 338 Norma Magnum rifle I looked at was something like $12,000. So yeah, if you got big pockets, go for it. 50 BMG is pretty good size round. It's not this big, even though it says 50 on here. But you know, 50 is not bad to shoot. It's in most of the rifles, the way they have the muzzle brakes and stuff set up, it's about the recoil of what you would get from I would say comparable to a 30-06 most of the time. depending on the type of rifle that you're shooting. Um, like the Armalite AR-50, the bolt guns that they're going to have a little bit more felt recoil, but most of my experience with shooting 50 is either with the M2 or with the Barrett M107s, which are pretty awesome, by the way. If you put a suppressor on a Barrett M107, it's sick, absolutely sick. So first time I ever got a good story here. First time I ever got to shoot a suppressed Barrett. It was a 20-inch model with a suppressor on it, and had my electronic earbuffs on. And I thought, man, this thing's going to be still vicious loud, right? Because an unsuppressed Barrett with a 20-inch barrel is a loud sucker. Squeezed the trigger, round went off, and I thought, no way. You know, it was super quiet. So I said, screw it. You know, I'm half deaf anyway from being a machine gunner. So I took my ear pro off and said, I'm going to shoot it without ear pro. Because it didn't seem like it was that bad. And much to my surprise, it did not bother me at all. I don't know if it was hearing safe, didn't have a decibel meter there. I mean, it was hearing safe for me being half deaf. But I shot the Barrett with the suppressor on there with no hearing protection, no problem. I was really impressed by the Barrett suppressor on the 50 BMG. So that's very impressive. I know there's better suppressors out there too than the one that Barrett makes for their rifles that are even quieter. But I was incredibly impressed. Does it get super hot? Yes, it does. It does not take long for the heat waves to start coming off of that can. But the Barrett suppressor actually comes with a sleeve that goes over the suppressor, and it keeps a lot of the heat contained, so it doesn't affect what you're looking at when you're looking down range through the scope, because that does become a very big issue pretty quickly. The mirage coming off the suppressor is a pretty big deal, and you're talking about a suppressor that's that long and weighs about 7 pounds. It's pretty heavy, dude. It's actually pretty neat because the sleeve that holds it actually has a system where you can put it onto the back of your flak jacket and carry it around, so you don't have to keep it on the rifle. Because the rifle just becomes unrealistically heavy when you're looking down range with it. Price. I can't tell you where to get one according to the YouTube terms of service, but I can tell you the price on them from what I understand. You're looking north of $2,500 for one of those. They're really expensive. That's just the can. But you know, if you want to see what current prices are, go out there, do your own research on that. You know, want to play within the rules here. Yeah, 2,500, 2,500 just for the suppressor, which in comparison to some other suppressors out there, it really isn't that bad. I mean, a lot of the Surefire suppressors that are out there are going to run you $900 to $1,000. So really not that bad compared to that, because it's a whole lot more metal. Let me tell you, that's way more than me too. Yeah. If you want to shoot 50 suppressed, then you got to have some deep pockets, man. Because you're talking about an expensive setup. Just the gun, the glass to go on it's really super expensive. If you want to shoot it suppressed, that's super expensive. If you want really good ammo, that's going to be anywhere from like $5 to $7 a shot. So when I shoot 50, my preferred ammunition is the Hornady AMAX 750 grain. It's really cool. CZ is good for all rounds, or Glock. I like how Glock fires. I mean, it's really your personal preference. There's nothing wrong with either one of those companies. Glock makes good stuff, and CZ makes good stuff. I happen to be a little bit of a CZ fanboy. The P10 series pistols are really hard guns to beat for the money. Just going to throw that out there. Really hard guns to beat for the money, even when you're comparing them against Glocks. Because if you look around, you can get those P10s like wow cheap, and that's a great gun if you like striker fire guns. It is. CZ converted to a 22. Yeah, I'm not crazy about 22 conversions, but I can understand why people do it to save money. Yeah, go for it, man. But you can't go wrong, Glock. You know, Glocks, they go bang until you start messing with them. Uh, well, if you know what you're doing and you mess with them, then they continue to go back. Don't do 45, man. Um, for stick with 9mm. Um, I love to shoot 45. Don't get me wrong. 45 is one of my favorite calibers to shoot at the range, to have fun with. But 9mm, when it comes to doing work, 9mm gives you the best of everything. It's the jack of all trades. So 9mm is going to give you light recoil. It's going to give you high capacity. It's going to give you excellent ballistics. And that's not what 45 is going to do. 45 is going to drastically reduce your capacity. It's going to drastically increase the amount of recoil that you have, and the ballistic performance of 45 ACP is lacking. It particularly in the penetration department. That's the biggest thing. I think it was when the FBI was doing tests on that, they were comparing 9mm, 45, 40, and 10mm. The one that was pretty consistent on on not meeting the FBI's penetration requirements was 45 ACP. There was a question I missed here. How'd you join PMC Vagner in Russia? We need you, bro. uh, I appreciate the offer. But my time in battlefields was over in 2009. I'm just an old busted guy now. 45 all the way. Come on, man. You know, like I love 45 too, but don't carry 45 every day. 9mm is the way to go. PMC, private military company, you know, or a paramilitary company. Mercenaries. That's what a PMC is. I'm sure you've heard of the Wagner Group. Don't understand why you need more than 9mm though. I mean, I like 10mm a lot too. Because 10mm, well, it just F's, you know. I would love to say the actual word on here, but YouTube probably wouldn't like that very much. But 10mm F's, man, it really does. So I have to give credit where credit's due. The coolest and one of the most awesome 10mm pistols that I have is the Smith & Wesson MP 2.0 full size 10mm optic ready. That thing, it seriously F's, man. That it's sick. I love it. I've shot the SIG. Was it the 220 P220 10mm? Pretty good gun. But you know, it's single stack. Don't be advertising trade signals in the chat, please. I'm pretty sure that's against terms of service and could get me a PP slap. But the MP 2.0 and 10mm is a great gun. P220 and 10mm, it's okay. Trigger on it's pretty good. But I think Smith & Wesson's really, knocked it out of the park with their 10mm. Even though even though I don't really care about the trigger pull so much, it's okay. But you can fix that with an Apex trigger. And the biggest thing that I have a problem with in the 2.0s is I think the grip texture, for me anyway, is far too aggressive on the 2.0s. I really like the how the first generation MMPs felt. The 2.0s, particularly if I'm carrying them concealed, if I don't have something to keep the gun from rubbing on me, then it really starts to chafe me. So what I've done, and I'm sure that if you have a 2.0 M&P 6 out, no, Smith & Wesson. I'm sure that if you have an M&P 2.0, you probably run into the same thing where it just kind of rubs you raw. A lot of people have ended up taking sandpaper and knocking down how aggressive that that texture is on the 2.0, so it doesn't chafe them. Usually, if I happen to be carrying an MMP 2.0, which is extremely rarely, I'll usually have an overshirt with an undershirt to keep it from chafing me so much. No, not my palm. It doesn't. When you're carrying it concealed and it's underneath your shirt, if the grip is directly against your skin, it will chafe you pretty quickly with that how aggressive the 2.0 is. And that's why I really preferred the first generation MMP's grip texture. I think that was the only thing that Smith & Wesson, I think, in my opinion, screwed up on the 2.0, was making the texture too aggressive. But some people like it. It's great if your hands are muddy or wet or anything like that, but when you're carrying it every day, it can be a little rough. I don't have alligator skin, you know. I got this soft, smooth skin that I put lotion and stuff on. So me and me and rough textures, we don't exactly get along, you know. But great gun, absolutely great gun for 10 millimeter. Probably. Now, when it comes to the worst 10 millimeter that I've ever shot, anything Kimber in 10 millimeter has been atrocious. Their quality control is just bad. And I've not seen more issues out of 10 millimeter handguns than I have with the Kimbers. Basically, everybody I know that has bought a 10 millimeter Kimber has gotten rid of it because it either it ends up having a lot of feeding issues. And it's just not a reliable pistol. Let me read that last question again because I kind of missed it. Like those hot ticket ones. What is good and what is caca? What's good? HK. Can't go wrong with HK. If you're looking at HK, highly recommend the P30s. P30s are, yeah. HK, the golden standard. The company that doesn't care about you, but yet we simp for them hard. If they would only give us an MP7, right? But they're not going to, so that's okay. PSA is going to give us one. It might not. It might be in 5.7, but it's close enough, right? At least it looks somewhat like an MP7. The MP7 we have at home. So I'm really looking forward to that gun. I think it's going to be sweet. Totally want to buy one. But yeah, I mean, HK P30s, the P30, the P30 SK, if you want something subcompact, great guns. I'm a big fan of hammer fire guns. Striker fire is not really. I used to like striker fire guns, but they're not really my jam anymore. The single action and the double action single action guns. I mean, should you get one? I don't know, man. That's up to you. The best advice I can tell you is go out there and put a bunch of different handguns in your hand and see which one you like the most. The bottom line is, when it comes to making a handgun selection nowadays, you kind of have to go out of your way to buy a bad gun. You have to kind of go and intentionally buy a bad handgun because there's so many good handguns that are being produced now. It's not like it was back in the 90s where you had to really try to find a good handgun because so many people were making crappy handguns. So, you know, this is not the 90s anymore. Everybody's making really good handguns now. So go out there, put a bunch of different guns in your hand. Whichever one feels the best to you, go with it, man. As long as you know it's not, do your research, you know, go read some reviews before you decide to buy one. Whatever gun that you like, go read some reviews on it. Get multiple people's opinions on it. What about those SIGs? What should we? SIG has had some quality control issues in the past, and they have some quality control issues now. That said, I personally have never experienced an issue with a 6-hour firearm. I do know people that have experienced issues with a 6-hour firearm. But as for the ones that I've used and that I've owned, I've had a P320, I've had a P220, a P365. I got one of the very first P365s that came out, and I did have to send it back for the recall about a month after I had it, and they put a new trigger in it and everything, and never had an issue with the gun till then. Never had an issue with the gun after that. Oh, you got a P365 and it jammed? I'm sorry, man. I mean, that could be a number of things. Might not be the gun. It could be the ammunition. It could be the magazine. Another thing from my experience is 90% of the time the issue is going to end up being magazine. Limp wrist, yeah, limp wrist will do it every time. That's the thing too. You get these micro compact guns, and the smaller the gun is, the more susceptible it is to being limp wristed. So uh, when I worked in a gun store, I would have guys that would be police officers, and they come in, big dudes, right, big muscle bound dudes, and they come in, they bought like a Glock 42 in the 380. They're like, oh man, this gun's this gun just keeps stovepiping on me. I can't get it to function. It's not a good gun. There's something wrong with it. I need to send it back to Glock. And I'd say, okay, well, let me check it out. So we had a trap in the back, go back to test the guns out. I go back there with the cheapest junk box of 380 that I could find. I load up a magazine and I just dump it in there. And I'll walk back out and I said, did you hear it shoot? And they say, yeah, I heard it. I said, it's not the gun. It's you, big boy. You're not holding it like a man. You gotta keep the wrist good and tight, man. They usually were not very pleased with my answer. They they did not like to accept the fact that it was them not holding the firearm correctly causing the issue versus the gun being the issue. But the fact of the matter was they were just holding the gun like little girls. And when you're holding a gun, you got to hold it like a man. That's what I tell my wife too when I'm out there with her with a pistol. You got to hold the pistol like a man. You got to keep that wrist nice and tight, nice and straight, especially handguns. One of the hardest things to do in shooting is to learn how to shoot a handgun well. It took me a long time to actually get good at shooting a handgun. I had to learn on my own, really. But once I figured it out, it made a big difference. I was really good at shooting handguns now. No, handgun is not easy by any means. Shooting a rifle is much easier. But that's because you have such a big separation between your rear sight and your front sight on a rifle, and on a handgun that distance is much smaller. So any of those little errors that you make or your body's just natural movements are very much exaggerated when you're shooting a handgun. So you move just a little bit on a handgun, it makes a big difference when you're putting the bullet down range. Did I shoot a floor or ceiling? I didn't shoot any of those. I've been fortunate. I've never had a negligent or accidental discharge. Knock on wood. Never done that. Yeah, learn how to shoot. Learn how to hold the handgun first, Bobby. That's absolutely right. There's a lot of good guides out there on how to properly hold a handgun. I would love to show you guys on a live, but we can't do that. So what we'll do, that gives me a great idea for a video, even a short that we can put up later. So a short and long form video, we can go in both a like proper handgun grip technique and how it changes your ability to send rounds down range. And it really does. Your grip makes a huge difference. Just by changing the way that I gripped a firearm or a handgun. When I finally figured it out, and started shooting a lot more with it, my ability to hit a target with a handgun was night and day difference. So I used to be the most I'd be able to hit a target when I was a really terrible handgun shot. I'm not the best handgun shot by any means. I would say I'm just average. Was like 20, 25 yards. That was it. But now, after changing the way I grip the gun and practicing some more, I've got a 12-inch steel target that I set up at 100 yards. Now I can only do this with one pistol. So the only pistol I can do this with is a CZ Shadow Orange. Not the Shadow 2 Orange, it's the original Shadow Orange custom shot. But at 100 yards, I can consistently hit that 12-inch plate with that pistol. Which is, to me, pretty impressive that I can even do that. Not even my Wilson Combats. I can't even shoot my Wilson Combats as good as I can that gun. Yeah, at 100 yards, and it's basically that thing's amazing. It's an absolutely amazing pistol. So if you got big money to spend, and you want one of the best shooting 9mm handguns out there, the CZ Shadow Orange is it. And that's a sick pistol. Yeah, big fan of CZs. I do want to get the new Shadow 2 Compact. Um, I watched a couple of reviews on it. One in particular that said that they would not carry the CZ Shadow 2. I didn't finish it yet, but this one channel in particular were talking about how they would not carry the Shadow 2 Compact um, as an everyday carry, and I kind of want to affirm or be able to make a rebuttal against that. I really hope I can make a rebuttal against it, to be honest, because I'm such a CZ fanboy. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I haven't got to finish the video, but we'll follow up on that. And you know, that's it's about $1,200 pistol. So as soon as I can get one, as soon as I can come up with a CZ Shadow 2 Compact, I will be more than happy to make a video on that one. Car money. Well, yeah, I guess so. But I would love to review that pistol and go out there and shoot it and see what I really think about it, and get a couple different holsters for it too, and carry it around. Because I don't know, I don't see it being any worse to carry around than a Wilson Combat. Um, you know, and it's a double action, single action pistol, I believe. Have to look, make sure. I'm pretty sure it's double action, single action. Chat probably knows. I've got a Prius. Hey man, I'm not going to knock it. I'd be 100% with you. Half the time I drive an electric car, because it saves me a whole bunch of money on gas, and it's cheap to. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sorry. I also have a Cummins, so that helps out, right? But the electric car is not. It's not bad, man. It's not bad. It's actually pretty sweet. You because of electricity rates around here, you can drive like 5,000 miles on this thing, and it costs you about $40 a month to charge it. It's uh, it's really economical. It's ugly. It's really ugly. Uh, but it gets the job done. Let's see, CZ. Oh man, no, I thought this thing was well. From this place, it's a lot more expensive. Let's see. Does it tell me if it's double action, single action? I'm sure it is, but yep, double action, single action. The CZ Shadow 2 Compact. Oh man, there's some customer photos in here. I'm jelly. That's a sick looking pistol. Also, would like to try out the Dan Wesson DWX. But that thing's also really expensive. Yeah, guys, any questions? Hit me up. Be happy to answer anything. Yeah, please, guys, just make sure we stay in YouTube's terms and conditions, because we already found out about that, and we got a 24-hour PP ban. Shotguns, oh, good for hunting or anything else. Listen, I'm not a big shotgun dude. Straight up, I never have been, and that's probably going to make a whole lot of people mad. How do you check the rules? You go read the YouTube terms and conditions in regards to firearms. That's how you can read the rules. That's rules that I have to play by on here, and that's the rules that we'll stick to in the live format, because we rather like having a YouTube channel. Yeah, no sales, no links. I can't even tell you where to get stuff from, but you know, search engines exist, or you know, go you know, search our name. Do that. Need a little drink there, guys. I've been yammering on for an hour now. It is almost 9:45, so I'm going to have to let you guys go before too long. But it has been a lot of fun. We'll keep going for a little bit, though. We still got a few more minutes. My wife's not yelling at me yet. But shotguns, I don't know. Probably going to stir people up. To me, a shotgun's about it's good as a door breacher. It does a really great job of banging the locks off of doors. What's the big deal with them? I don't know. I've had a number of shotguns, never really cared for them. The only one that I would truly like to have is a Benelli, the Benelli M4 specifically. Um, but now that the Turks are making the M4 clone that uses all the Benelli M4 accessories and parts are compatible with this Turkish M4 clone that's like a quarter of the price. I'm really interested in trying one of those out because I don't really have like $1,400 laying around to shell out on an M4. As much as I would like to, I really do like the M4. Uh, but you have to get the extended 2 for it and all that, and that's extra money. The only other one that I really like is the Beretta 1301. That's a pretty cool gun too. The Beretta 1301 is a pretty sweet shotgun. The tactical model already has the extended tube on it, so it's got a 7 plus 1 and 2 3/4 shells. Mossberg, I mean Mossberg builds a good gun, but to be perfectly honest, I don't know what it is about Mossberg, but I've always had more felt recoil from Mossberg than any other shotgun brand. Maybe it's the angle that they make their stock. I'm not sure, but every time I've had a 590 or a 500, it just has noticeably more felt recoil than like a Remington 870. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But they're great guns, but they always just have more recoil. And because of that, if I'm talking about a pump action shotgun, I prefer the 870. Remington is still producing the 870, yes. The new Remington, whatever version of Remington we're into now. Yeah, absolutely. They're making a small line of firearms. No, shotguns are probably the most diverse category of firearms out there. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. That's the way I feel about that. So, if you don't ask a question, you have a question. That's a stupid question. If you ask a question and it's a stupid question, then it's a question asked that I can probably answer. Uh, so I'm happy to answer any type of question. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not gonna call you out for a dumb question. Don't worry about it. Uh, hell, I'll probably get some wrong answers in here at some point. Even though I try to give as many accurate ones as I can. But, wow, can't believe it going on for an hour. But oh yeah, my mind's blank too. I've been going for an hour. Is it true that is what true? Hmm. Remington's I don't know. Remington's gone out of business several times. Let's see. I'll see if I can find something new on them. But as far as I'm aware, the new Remington is chugging right along. They very much decreased the number of firearms that they were producing in order to bring quality control up, which I admire. That's what they need to do. Which is kind of like the same thing that I hope that CZ does with Colt. I hope that the quality control at Colt is going to go way up. You heard it's over? I'm not sure, man. I've not heard anything from the industry about Remington. The only big news that I've heard from a firearm company, manufacturing company that has closed doors lately is Kalashnikov USA has gone out of business. I guess they basically laid everybody off and they're filing bankruptcy. So hate to see Kalashnikov USA go to the wayside. But let me see if I can find a news article on it. I like the KP9, but they had some real stiff competition, particularly from PSA. Um, it's really hard for Kalashnikov USA to compete against them. Let's see. It really sucks for everybody who owns a Kalashnikov USA gun, though, because that means that um, your warranty's pretty much adios. The good news is there's plenty of really good AK builders around the country that's going to be able to take care of that for you. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. Kalashnikov USA is closing its doors and filing for bankruptcy. Expect to go into bankruptcy. More sources. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's from yeah. So yeah, that's unfortunate. I hate to hear that, because we need as many arms manufacturers as we can get. So I mean, every company makes a turd, and every company makes something pretty good. So go out there and support these gun companies when you can. We can't afford to lose them. They spend a lot of money to produce this stuff, and they spend a lot of money to protect Second Amendment rights. So we got to make sure we support these gun companies. Now, if these gun companies are out there just blatantly screwing people, they don't deserve your money. But most of these gun manufacturers are pretty good. Yeah, vote with your dollars. Yeah, absolutely. That makes people pay attention a lot faster than anything is using your wallet. That's really it. But all right, guys, we're about to wrap this up here. So I got to go and check on my kiddo and everything, and it's starting to get a little chilly out here. So I'm tired of sitting on the outside. Don't buy foreign and buy local. Yeah, I wish that's a lot easier said than done, unfortunately, especially when it comes to a lot of things. But you do have a choice when it comes to firearms and accessories that go with those firearms. Buy an American made. So there's a couple optic companies out there that specialize in Chinese stuff, and you can get American stuff for just a little bit more. And I would highly encourage you to get those American optics, because we don't need to be helping the Chinese advance their optics technology. So yeah, that's my little plug right there for the American optics manufacturers. You're welcome. But any final questions before we call tonight? If anybody has anything at all, be happy to answer it. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to let you guys go and have a great night. Really enjoyed doing the live with you. Be looking forward to doing another one, and I'm sure that this will continue to grow, and we'll have more news to cover. More people come in asking questions about firearms. We'll share what we got going on, and as always, really appreciate you guys sticking around and enjoying the live show and asking your questions. You guys have been great. Have a great night. And Gun Coyote, we'll see you on the next live or in the next video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that like notification, and hit that notification bell so you know as soon as we have new videos out. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great night.